Hey everybody, Derek here to bring you a video for Z Nation. And this video will be reviewing the most recent episode that premiered, which is Down the Mississippi. It was actually a pretty fun episode. It was one of those ones that really does stand on its own as an episode, but overall I thought it was very enjoyable. It had a lot of great elements that really, I think, make it stand out and make it a very good episode. And I'm going to tell you what happened. If you're not caught up with Z Nation, or if you did not watch this past episode, then you may not want to watch this video because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay, so we pick up from the last episode with the group still on their mission, to continue to California, and they come across the Mississippi River, which, as you know, is a river that runs, pretty much down through almost the center part of America. And what ends up happening is the group realizes that they can travel faster if they travel down the river. They find a boat and they find this guy who's with it. After killing the zombies, they say, "Hey, can you take us down the river?" The guy's an annoying chatterbox, but they decide to put up with him, and he's willing to take them down the river. And as they are, going down the river, who do they run into? Our good friends Skeezy and Sketchy, who made 2 appearances back in Season 1, the first one being the premiere, and the second one was Welcome to the FU Bar when they were holding that shooting competition. They're back. It was very nice to see them. I think that they're great characters, and when they're used in the role that they are, it adds a lot of fun to the episode. I thought about it, and I thought, well, I don't think they should necessarily appear in every episode, but I think with the type of humor that they bring, when they appear every now and then, they're awesome, and this was awesome with them in it. So they're up to their usual antics. They're selling supplies, bullets, guns, whatever they have for, other goods. They're businessmen and also con men. They really are in a sense, because they've been going around telling people that Skeezy is Murphy. And they've basically been modeling sketches of Murphy after Skeezy, so that way they can, get away with stuff. And as the group is floating down the river, they talk about these zombie jams, jams of zombies, and they end up running into one, and the boat tips over. Now, of course, there's obviously a west side and an east side of the Mississippi, and the Mississippi River does have a pretty strong current, so unless you're a really strong swimmer, I wouldn't suggest swimming across it. Plus, it's fairly wide. And what ends up happening is that everybody in the group ends up on the west side of the river except for 10,000 and Skeezy and Sketchy. The boat captain probably died. He never reappeared, so we're going to assume that he was eaten up by the zombie jam. But 10,000, Skeezy and Sketchy, end up on the east side of the river. And of course, the 2 groups are, trying to get back together, to see if, 10,000 can meet back up with the group, because obviously he wants to help with the mission. And they all decide to go south. Their instinct is that if they all go south, their hope is that they might meet up with the other group at a bridge that's further south. So both groups are hoping that they will meet up with each other, but they don't necessarily know whether people are there, whether they're alive. They have no idea, so they're going based on hope. And a lot of this episode, really focused on 2 things. One was the adventures of Skeezy, Sketchy, and 10,000, and the other one was, Warren's group as they were going. And it was very, very interesting to see these 2 groups, especially when you have members separated. How are they going to interact? What are they going to think about? And I'm going to talk a little bit about Warren's group first. This was a very big challenge for them, a very big issue. The fact that 10,000 has been with them ever since the start of this mission. But, it's really this balance between, well, when do we quit going forward and, look for people and do things for other people? And when should we just, say, hey, tough luck, you ended up, in a bad situation. We can't get access to you. We need to get to California. And, when do you leave 10,000 behind? And you had different members of the group having different interactions and different thoughts on that. You had Vasquez, who basically said, no, this is the mission, and 10K is not the priority. Murphy is, and we need to get moving. You have Murphy, who is, of course, still a little bit upset with 10,000 for killing Cassandra in the last episode, who basically says, hey, yeah, we got to keep going. And Murphy, being the way that he is, he acknowledges, that everybody is expendable except for him. He basically turns to the group and says, hey, he's not the priority, I am. And there is one thing that you should be focusing on, moi. That's just the way he is. And he flat out tells them, hey, you need to get me to California. We don't need to get 10,000 there. You need to get me there. And you have Doc, on the other hand, though, who absolutely refuses to leave 10,000 behind, who wants to look for him, and who goes to very extreme, levels to find him. They come across a boat. He decides to go down the river further to look for 10,000. And the group, of course, they tell him that if he, when he gets down to the bridge, to wait for them. And it was, nice to see that loyalty that Doc had towards 10,000, to know, just how much he cares for the young man. And that's the thing about Doc. Doc really is the most caring individual of anybody there. He is the one who cares about every single person in that group, and he would not want to leave them, no matter what, the mission may demand. And, he's very disappointed when he gets down to the river, by that bridge, and doesn't find him. It hurts him to know that, he couldn't achieve his mission. And, I can understand where he's coming from. It would be hard to leave somebody behind. And, I can respect Doc for his loyalty and for wanting to do this. And those are hard decisions. It really is. On what level do you actually look for somebody, and at what level do you just say, well, look, we got to keep going? And the group ends up getting down to the bridge. They find Doc hasn't found him. They wait for a little bit, and then they basically get ready to leave. But we'll catch up with them in a minute. Let's talk about what 10,000, Skeezy, and Sketchy were up to. Well, as I said, Skeezy and Sketchy have been, impersonating Murphy, and they run into these group of individuals who lived in the area. They were Southern, had accents, they had the camouflage on, the guns. Very, interesting fellas. I thought they were very nice characters to have, but of course they weren't necessarily the nicest of people. They were holding guns on the three of them, and Skeezy and Sketchy just go to work. They have said many times that they are the luckiest men in the zombie apocalypse, and I'm prepared to believe them. They were able to get out of that, very easily. With Skeezy impersonating Murphy, they basically say, hey, if he bites you, you'll be good to go. And Skeezy ends up biting all of them, saying, hey, you guys got the cure, you're good to go. Just lay down for 48 hours, don't move, and you're good to go. Well, they end up seeing through all of that, and they go off running. And eventually they come across this dentistry truck. And at the beginning of the episode, we saw these two men basically driving around, and when they would see people, they would offer them a teeth cleaning, like what dentists do. And the individuals would get in the chair, they would get this, like laughing gas or whatever it would be in them, but it wasn't really laughing gas, it was really the kind of gas that knocks you out. And they'd throw them in the back of the truck, and either they would be bit by zombies, or else the gas killed them, and they became zombies. But the point was to make these individuals zombies. So what ends up happening is, those two men, whether they were going out for a bathroom break, whatever they were doing, they left the truck, and 10,000, Sketchy, and Skeezy come across this truck, get in it, and they just start driving like, hey, yeah, we needed a vehicle, we needed safety, we got it. And they come across this town called Burr Town that is run by a man, I believe his name was Tyler Burr. And he's running the town, and basically what they are is a community. They have trailer homes, I think they might have had a cabin or two, they had some places for people to live. And, you had a lot of people who were enjoying themselves. They were drinking, they were shooting, they were, having a good time. This was actually like a very different kind of scenery that you don't see a lot in the zombie apocalypse. Well, they end up coming to the town, and what these individuals actually do is they use zombies for labor. They had this wheel in the middle of the town where they tied zombies up, and they were going round and around in a circle, and it was allowing them to produce electricity. It is a very interesting concept, using zombies for, labor. Somebody would be innovative enough to do that, and they are. That is what they are doing with the zombies. And 10,000 Skeezy and Sketchy are just blending in. They tell the group that, 10,000's a mute and they do all the talking. They're just doing their sweet talking stuff, impersonating these people, hanging out. And, well, 10,000 ends up running into this woman in the community who's, upset, with what's been going on. She doesn't necessarily agree with all of the things that these individuals do. And, she holds a gun on 10,000 and asks why she should even bother to let him live when he's going around in the dentist truck. And 10,000 says, well, no, we weren't the ones that did it. We were the ones that got in and we stole the truck. We didn't know what was in it. And the woman tells 10,000, that she would just love to see the community get destroyed. She hates it. She doesn't like what it's about. And she notes that one of the zombies on the wheel is her second husband, who ended up becoming a zombie, and they put him to work, which really upsets her. So, 10,000 is basically put in that position of maybe trying to help her. Well, before anything can happen, who shows up? As Scorpion and the Zeros. It turns out that they are also, they have an interest in this town. I'm assuming that these individuals, Tyler Bird talked about these individuals providing goods for people, that they had a distillery, they had various different things going on, and I'm assuming that they provide some business to a Scorpion. That's just something that a Scorpion is involved with, and he is. And he ends up coming to the town, and basically the two guys who were in the truck come back to the town like, yo, you guys took our truck. And, they realize that Skeezy, Sketchy, and 10,000 are, thieves. And they hold this trial, and it turns out, that Skeezy and Sketchy, Sketchy actually does a very good speech. He fumbles a little bit of the names. He said that Clarence Thomas said, if the glove doesn't fit, then you must acquit. Well, that was Johnny Cochran. But, you had Sketchy making this grand, wonderful speech that even a Scorpion thought was pretty amusing. He's laughing, chuckling a little bit. And then, they're prepared to maybe even believe their story when who shows up? Those individuals that Skeezy bit earlier in the episode when they were impersonating Murphy. And, the group pretty much realizes that Skeezy and Sketchy, and they decide to throw 10,000 in the mix because he was, guilt by association, that they're liars, thieves, con men, and they should not live anymore, So, a Scorpion sentences them to death by hanging. And so they're getting ready to hang them. They're getting ready to do the ceremony. And while this is going on, that woman that I talked about earlier, she left the town and went to the bridge and ran into Doc, Addie, Warren, Vasquez, and Murphy, and ends up telling them, hey, we got this situation over here. And, of course, they come and rescue all three of them. They come to the town, basically shoot the ropes. Just as they pull the lever to, hang them, they shoot the ropes, and then of course, Skeezy's still on the rope. They were only able to shoot the two. So Sketchy gets under there and tries to lift him up. And Addie, from like a long distance, makes the shot, and of course cuts him loose. That's Z Nation greatness for you there. I don't know if anybody could have actually made that shot in real life, but hey, I'm cool with that. The two get to live. And of course, they get away with 10,000, and the woman gets to basically give her husband mercy. She takes him off the wheel and is able to give him mercy. And then zombies pretty much come and, tear the town apart. They basically, everybody's, running around crazy and everybody else gets away. We have Warren's group going back to the bridge, And Skeezy and Sketchy, it turns out, were in the back of the truck. And, 10,000 says, well, hey, you guys can come with us, because there's this big, huge herd of zombies coming. And there's a big bag of guns in the truck. And Skeezy and Sketchy just say, hey, no, we're fine. We're going to stay here and, we'll be all right. We're the luckiest men in the world. Everything's fine. So 10,000, thanks them for their adventures, for the most part. And they say that the next time they see him, they hope to find him a woman so that he can have some relations with that woman for the first time. That's the PG-13 saying of what they would like to accomplish with 10,000. And so the Team California gets away. They continue to go on their mission, and the episode basically ends with Sketchy and Skeezy. They load their weapons and say, hey, it's time to go out and kill these zombies and hope they get lucky. And they actually pay homage to the episode. I'm sorry, not the episode. The movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which, if you're not familiar with, it starred Paul Newman and Robert Redford as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And it basically chronicled the lives of the real, outlaws. And, at the end of the movie, there's this scene where, the two are trapped by the Bolivian army. And, they're looking to each other. And, Butch Cassidy was always the one that was coming up with, like, the ideas that they should do. And Newman's character basically said, hey, let's go to Australia. I hear they, speak English there. Always coming up with this new plan. And Sundance would always be like, well, why would we do that? And Butch Cassidy was always the smooth talker, hence Sketchy being the smooth talker and Skeezy being the very good, shot who, is willing to team up with him. And the two basically burst out, start shooting zombies, and the screen goes in a freeze frame, just like how Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid ends. And that's how it ends. Well, I'm going to assume that they're going to survive. I mean, they're the luckiest men in the world. They're very good characters. When they're brought in every now and then, I think that they're great. I like their humor. They're great characters, and I hope to see them again. And I can't wait to see what they have to offer next week. But again, it was a fun episode. I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to see what Z Nation has to offer. I can't believe we're almost halfway through, 7 episodes. Next episode will be 8. So then after that, they're pretty much on the downward slide with season 2 with 15 episodes. So hard to believe, but I think it's been pretty good so far. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. I want to thank all of you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And if there are any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and thank you very much for watching.